What is going on?
Hello.
Welcome back to the Riverfront. Oh my goodness, this is the most exciting night to be a fan of the Cincinnati Reds, probably in my entire lifetime, if we're being honest. And I was born in 1926. Guys, all right, first of all, welcome back to the Riverfront. I'm Chad Dotson. Got a big crew here tonight. Joe Farsing, your guy from the Riverfront Bengals show, is here. Tim Daniel from Late Night Reds here at the Riverfront. And then, of course, our friend Nate Dotson, who is with me every week on the Riverfront. Guys, this was this started out being like an Elly De La Cruz exciting emergency episode, and now all of a sudden it turned into like, okay, yes, Elly De La Cruz, but also Matt McClain, but also this Reds team is amazing. Here's what I'm going to go to Tim Daniel first, because he's always the positive, upbeat guy, and so he's in his zone here today. Tim, what are your thoughts right now after the Reds walk it off against the Dodgers in Elly De La Cruz's Major League debut?
The future is here, folks. It is here. If you are not believing now, you'll never believe that this team can make something happen. Look, there was a situation tonight in the fifth inning where the three guys coming to bat were Matt McClain, Jonathan India, and Elly De La Cruz on the Major League roster, followed by Tyler Stevens, who, by the way, had a 3-hit game tonight, by the way. Folks, live it, love it, enjoy it. It's here. Everything we've been waiting for with all these trades and all these free agent acquisitions and all these minor league prospects we've run about, they're here, and this is beautiful.
It's just amazing. Nate, how about your initial thoughts before we get into some hard-hitting analysis?
Tim just touched on what got me so fired up today. On the heels of an Andrew Abbott electric start, we get the Elly De La Cruz news, which I've been waiting to say all day. So you're welcome, viewers. But that rundown: Matt McClain, Jonathan India, Elly De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Tyler Stevenson. Those are four guys, whatever, under 26 years old, 25 years old.
Yeah.
These are kids. This is a legitimate youth movement. And then once you get past Tyler Stevenson, boom, Kevin Newman, baby. Let's go.
Nate just legitimately named three guys that are potential National League Rookies of the Year on the current roster.
Yeah.
In the year of our Lord 2023. It's amazing. Joe, come on, let's hear it. You've always got a hot take for us.
I come with the hottest takes. Honestly, I don't really have anything else to add because you guys covered it all. This is what we've been looking for. This is what we've been wanting since they traded all the arms and everything last summer. This is the team going forward. There's still Christian Encarnacion Strand, and there's a certain Canadian first baseman that's working down in Louisville too that'll be up at some point. I'm actually expecting Votto to come up and start mashing when he's healthy, only because why the hell not? Everyone else is hitting the ball well. That isn't hell. I was going to say Stuart Fairchild, but Fairchild, contributed today. So this is just a fun team. And the more fun young guys that are coming up, even better. Elly De La Cruz and Abbott get called up, and there are going to be two more prospects called up to replace them to Louisville. Jacob Hurtubise was the first one called up to Louisville. That we won't count him, but there's the pipeline.
Good job pronouncing Hurtubise, though.
I was going to say,
that's not bad.
Holy moly.
I did some practice on that, but the pipeline isn't. The pipeline is still running. There's still guys coming through the system. You've got Phillips, you've got Petty pitching. You still have Noelvi Marte and Arroyo and Cam Collier. Those guys are a few years off, but this is what the crap fest of a 100-loss season is supposed to lead to. Put that in with a crappy division, and we were talking off air before we came on. This is a winnable division. The Reds will be playing meaningful games in September with a bunch of kids, guys that weren't able to buy alcohol a couple years ago. Elly just turned 21, a few months ago. These guys are absolute babies.
They might be 15 games under 500 and leading the division by 3 games, and I am here for it.
Bring it
Ted,
on.
Yeah.
Ted, how are you feeling? You've been listening to us go. What are you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, I got to say this. To answer, first of all, I shepherd 16. How am I supposed to go to sleep after that game? You listen to us. That'll put you to sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome, Pat Magooch, longtime friend of the show. Pat
He's
Magooch.
on time this week. All right. He was late Sunday.
So here are my thoughts. It's kind of funny because this week, Joe mentioned him briefly, but Andrew Abbott started Monday night's game against Milwaukee, and the only game they won in that series. And Andrew Abbott you all know if you listen to the show, I'm ludicrous about the University of Virginia guys, and he pitched for UVA. And the last time I saw him pitch a full game was in the College World Series. He beat Tennessee. I may have had a bet with a certain father of a former University of Tennessee player on the Reds roster about that game. That's a story that I probably shouldn't go into, but I just did. Anyway, I won the bet
because Peter Edward.
Right. Andrew Abbott was amazing. And so when he was drafted by the Reds, I thought it was fantastic. So he comes up to the big leagues. He doesn't give up a hit until the fifth inning of his debut. He, pitches 6 innings, 1 hit baseball, shutout baseball. I think, guys, this is the story. This is the prospect story of the week. I'm excited. Talking to my editor. That's what I wrote about for Cincinnati Magazine this week. They publish it online, and 42 minutes later, the Reds call up Elly De La Cruz, and nobody cares about Andrew Abbott. I'm just telling you, this is it's a fun. Again, how many times do we say it? They may not be good, but they're interesting.
Yeah,
and not only interesting, but guys like Abbott, guys like McClain, and now Elly De La Cruz are just fun, just flat out fun. And we'll get into a little. Well, yeah, we're kind of sure. I don't think they're good, but they may not be bad. I mean, if that makes sense, Progress. Yeah, I mean, it's progress, and
it's
so
watchable.
Well, the Reds ticket website went down today.
It didn't look like it on TV, though.
It didn't, but it's still fun to see some actual excitement. Here's what I'll toss to all of you all. Do you remember a time when Cincinnati was so excited for a prospect? And maybe it's because it's been so bad lately, and so we get this guy on top, after a 100-loss season. But I remember some great prospects. I'll let you all mention them coming up. I remember some excitement around him. I don't remember any kind of excitement. Like, the dude got a standing ovation before his first pitch in the big leagues. So I guess let's just go in the same order. Tim, any thoughts? Do you remember a guy?
So I somehow have managed to be at multiple big league debuts for like the prospect the last couple of years.
Me too. I was at Sal Romano's big league debut.
Oh yeah, how could you
right
forget
next to his family? Yeah, it's exciting.
I was at Billy Hamilton's big league debut when he got the steal off Yachty when he pinch ran, and they threw over 13 times. That was pretty exciting. I was at Nick Senzel's debut, which was coming in, looked like it was going to be this unbelievable story.
Wait a minute, Tim. I was there that game as well. I don't remember you saying hello to me that night.
You were unfollowed me on Twitter at that point, you and your brother. So, but no, man, the fact that it was a surprise, I'm not saying that if they didn't announce it yesterday, that it wouldn't have been as exciting, but the fact that I'm not texting and driving when I'm at a stoplight today and I get the notification on my phone and I scream in my car on the way back from the gym. I was not texting and driving. I just so happened to see it pop up on my phone. My daughter wasn't in the car. It's okay.
I love it. Yeah, for me, I don't recall a prospect.
Jay's the closest
in my lifetime. Jay was the closest, but that wasn't the
right
prime of the social media era either. We have this day, we're watching Louisville Bats games on TV every day. We're watching Paul Bunyan chop down these trees an hour and a half away from Cincinnati 6 days a week. This is it's the most exciting. It's the most excitement that I personally had about Cincinnati Reds team. Don't get me wrong, there have been moments, there have been some fun things to watch over the last decade. But it's been Clinchmas for me. That was the last time that I was as jazzed up over something in Cincinnati compared to the way I was tonight. It was just incredible. And the way that it went from this crappy series against the Brewers, where we thought that the team was going to have a chance to make a push, not just for contention, but to be first place in the division, they limped through that. Andrew Abbott saves the day. And then this happens. It's too much.
I can't
Joe,
believe
you're a
it's
local
still-
guy. You're a local guy. Do you remember anything approaching this in your lifetime?
The only person, and everyone's looking forward to Jay Bruce. I mean, he was the number one prospect coming into this season, and it was. I mean, he was even more of a, I don't say known quantity, but I mean, he was more of a sure thing than even Elly was, because he was assumed to have a higher floor. But the only one that I can think of that I had even remotely the same amount of excitement for was Adam Dunn. And that's going back. I mean, that was 2001. I mean, so that's, you're going back 22 years. I mean, you talk about a guy that absolutely tore up the minor leagues. I mean, check out his, 44. Absolutely just tore up tore up AA, tore up AAA before he got called up.
Very handsome too.
What's that?
Very handsome also.
Yeah. He decided to be a rookie the same year as that Albert Pujols guy. Other than that, he might have won a Rookie of the Year. Maybe.
What's funny is I remember this was an article written by Peter Gammons after the season. He said Albert Pujols may have won the Rookie of the Year, but this will be the year that we remember that Adam Dunn was called up. Obviously, that was not right, but I mean, this was the hype.
Yeah,
I mean, and he was that huge of a prospect, and it's funny, he wasn't even the Reds' top prospect. Austin Kearns was, and if he hadn't gotten injured, he would have been up. Austin Kearns would have been a right-handed Larry Walker if he wasn't, if he didn't get hurt.
Good comp.
But, in terms of excitement for for the team in general, I guess maybe Clinchman. Like I can't really think of anything. I mean, even 2012, the team won 97 games and had the second best record in the National League, but that was a really good team. But it wasn't that it was just, hey, this is a good team that's going to win a lot of games. It wasn't like this flashpoint of excitement. So
yeah, and there was never that moment. I'll talk in just a moment about the excitement in the stadium and the last time I saw that. But first, in terms of debuts, again, first of all, I'm a nothing if not a shameless promoter. My newsletter that's coming out tomorrow, ChadDotson.com. Go subscribe to the Substack. Anyway, but I sort of try to work through this in my mind. And Jay Bruce was one. I was in New York, actually. Jay Bruce had, after he played about 20 games or so. And I happened to be in New York for the series between the Yankees and the Reds. And I literally saw 4 people wearing Jay Bruce shirts in Times Square. I saw Reds hats everywhere. And I thought, this is weird. This is a different level of excitement over a kid. I mean, he's the number one prospect in baseball, like Elly. But it wasn't quite the same.
Yeah.
The other guy that I thought of was Homer Bailey, because some people forget. But Homer Bailey's debut, I remember, and we wrote about this in the book, but there was a billboard on I-75 between Louisville and Cincinnati with Homer Bailey and a flaming baseball, and it was it was a big deal, and that was kind of coming off. Jay Bruce as well was 2008, and so the Reds had not been good for a little while. So there's a little bit of a similar vibe that we have now with the Reds have not been good, but now we have this great guy. But I don't think I wish I were in the park. I know I've been boycotting this stupid team. I wish I were in the park because it just seemed electric. The way that the park was silent during the pitches in Elly De La Cruz's first at bat, everyone was watching. And for me, the only time I can remember that kind of electricity, the last time I remember was, and again, we talked about this a little bit before we started because we're all kind of trying to think back. For me, it was Todd Frazier's home run derby because the stadium was insane that day. It was just it's the loudest I've ever heard that stadium, and I was there for Clinchmas. But in terms of a regular season game, probably Clinchmas 2010, and that is crazy. We're talking 13 years ago, maybe. I don't know. Y'all have some other thoughts?
The only one I could think of, and this is not at GABP, is opening day 2000 when Griffey has his first at bat, and the world was still like, I said on the show this week that you can say what you will about when Ken Griffey Jr. how his tenure with the Reds worked out. You cannot take away the joy and feeling we all felt in that trade. I mean, I was 10 years old, and it's like one of my favorite days of my childhood. So when he stepped in the batter's box at Riverfront for the first time, just like that whole seeing him in the jersey. It's the only thing I can compare to this to, and I still think this was bigger.
You were 10 years old?
Yes.
All right.
That's legit though. Well, let's go through some of Elly's his at bats and how this all went down.
Tony Gonsolin was so scared.
What do you think the odds would have been for a first pitch walk for Elly De La Cruz, especially when we started 0-1? I mean,
and then down 1-2.
yeah. And he
1-2
sat there
count.
and laid off pitches that he had already swung at. It was a professional at bat, and the big cat Gotson looked a little
scared.
He was scared of him.
Yep.
The first pitch, there were 2 runners on base. First pitch, it looked to me like Elly was a little bit. He was eager, and I thought, oh no, here we go. He's a rookie. He wants to do something in this situation because he swung at a pitch outside of the zone, and then he got down 1-2. But there were like 3 straight pitches that were exactly like that first one that he swung and missed at, and he held off. And that's when I started thinking. First of all, let me before I say, I need to shout out our buddy James Urban, who said this is the most fun Reds team in a while, no doubt about it. Yes, and then Mr. Juan, is Chad more excited about Andrew Abbott or Elly De La Cruz? Oh, it's Andrew Abbott, obviously, because Elly De La Cruz didn't even go to the University of Virginia. So he would still be there, actually. He would still be playing there. He's such a kid. But anyway, back to that first at bat. When he laid off those pitches, when the moment wasn't too much for him, you would expect any rookie to get a little excited, to maybe overswing a little bit. He didn't.
Well, I don't know what y'all thought, but he looked nervous on the TV screen. He
think
looked
so?
like the moment was alive.
The first inning when Mookie hits that ball to him and it bounces out of his glove, it kind of looked like it was like just kind of nerves for a second, and then he kind of got settled in.
It seemed like he was very much aware of the gravity of the moment, and he still handled it with poise. It was crazy to see. But then the first time he got a fastball anywhere near the zone, and I think he fouled it off. And I think Gonson saw that bat speed and was like, oh, well, there's no beating this guy.
All breaking balls inside from here. Yeah. So
I'll have to defer to your guys' judgment on the first 4 at bats. I was coaching my kids' game. I legitimately had a thought of just forfeiting the game. And sorry, coach, we don't have enough players, and then tell my families, oh, they couldn't make it. We'll try to make it up.
Well, I love it.
It's true fandom right there.
Yeah.
There you go. So second at bat. Okay, so he walks in his first at bat to load the bases and ends up coming around and scoring in his first big league time on base. Second at bat, he gets down 0-2 immediately. And okay, well, what's going on here? We're hanging on every pitch. He gets a pitch that's like 3 inches out of the strike zone. It's above the strike zone. The dude turns on it, hits it into right center field, 112 miles per hour exit velocity off the bat. And, oh, yeah, by the way, hardest hit ball by a Cincinnati Reds batter all year long in his second at bat. It's a double. And here's the part that I want you all to talk about, those of you that saw it. He got that in. It was a double. It's a double for everyone, except for me. I might get thrown out at first base. But when he came out of that batter's box, I thought he's thinking triple. He's thinking triple.
I watched the replay a couple of times, and yeah, he turned the corner. Was going to test him. Yeah, it was in his mind. Absolutely.
That to me is the most exciting. No, it's not the most exciting thing, but it's one of the most exciting things about this kid is that the dude, I don't know, he just makes things happen. He's just, you've seen it so many times.
It's a 162 game season, and I don't care what level you are. You want to take any opportunity you can to rest your body a little bit. And Elly De La Cruz does not let you. You cannot take a second off, much less a play. A couple things. One, that pitch that he swung at for that hit. Thank God he swung at it because the umpire decided he was going to call that a strike for the rest of the game. That guy might get fired before he gets home today. That was brutal. Second, I want to go back to that first plate appearance, but afterwards when he got on base, did y'all see that he caught up to Matt McClain when he scored that run?
I was going to pass him. I did too. I was like, oh goodness.
And Matt McClain is crazy fast.
Yes.
It's not like Matt McClain is Joey Votto. Sorry, Joey. We love you, but yeah, that was crazy. So, but there's going to be some time, and it's probably going to happen the next week or two, where there's going to be a ball that's a little blooper or something that you kind of like Matt McClain's first hit that he turned into a double. There's going to be some time when there's no one else in baseball would get a double or a triple off this, and Elly De La Cruz is going to come flying out of the box and get it. And we're all going to be like, what did we just watch?
Yeah.
It's a comic book superhero.
He runs with the same reckless abandon that Billy Hamilton ran with. And just he's aggressive. He has his sights on that extra base every time. I mean, did you guys saw the crazy crap from the other day in Louisville that he took third on Adam Duvall, who's got an arm. Yeah. And then they throw a second behind him, and shortstop's looking the other way, and he decides to break for home.
And straight to second base.
He's going to have a couple two plans because he's going to try to be over aggressive, but he's going to create more runs than he's going to give away.
Well, the Reds have been aggressive on the base pass all season, so he's just going to
fits right in.
Amplify that by an exponential amount. And he already has the first and third highest sprint speeds of a Red this year.
Yeah.
The guy has been a professional baseball player for 39 minutes. He's unfreaking believable.
It's crazy. The guy I compare him to the most is Eric Davis. I just number 44, tall and thin, and so it's kind of some of that is. Am I really, awesome. Is he really like that guy?
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got power like another 44, Adam Dunn, but from both sides of the plate. He can run like Billy Hamilton. He defensively, I mean, he's Eric Davis, or at shortstop, Barry Larkin. I mean, we are way overhyping this guy. We have to be way overhyping this guy. There's no way he's as good as all these great players, and he's played one game in the big leagues. But I've never felt this way about any player that emerged on the Red scene.
You're also forgetting he throws harder than another former 44 on the Reds, Mike Leake.
Yeah.
Mike Leake.
I think I threw harder than Mike Leake.
Right.
I've been saying this all week that the hype for him, there is no way that anybody can live up to the hype that that we expect, that everyone's expecting from him, except I think he's somehow going to exceed it. If that makes sense. It's impossible to.
Is that possible?
I don't know. I mean, we're expecting him to save the world. But
it's possible because we're talking about a sport where failure 7 out of 10 times is acceptable and praised. And this guy can not only do that, but he also does things on a baseball diamond that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah. And like Zachary McGee said, he's got Adam Dunn power, Billy Hamilton speed. He is a video game character. I mean, he's taking a player in the show and ramping up all of the sliders to 99. He runs faster than anybody. He throws faster than anybody. He hits harder than anybody. I mean, this is a mutant created in a lab, and he's the Reds. Well, he's ours.
Let me ask you all this though, okay? Because I 100% agree. For the first time, literally in my life, I 100% agree with everything Joe Farsing just said.
Ooh,
same.
Dark side.
Yeah.
Welcome to
the dark side. It's an exciting night. But let me ask you this. Jay Bruce was number one prospect in baseball. Jay Bruce had a great career. He's a Reds Hall of Famer. There's nothing about Jay Bruce's career in my mind that you should be disappointed about. But in the mind of some fans, he was a disappointment because he never quite became a baseball Hall of Famer. Are we overhyping him so much that there's no way he could live up to these expectations? Nate, I'll ask you this one.
That's a tough one because we are going to overhype him. We're going to continue. Literally, we're comparing him to Benny the Jet Rodriguez. Pat Magooch is spitting gospel over here.
Spitting fire tonight.
I guess that's the weirdest thing about all this for me is in sports, we love to do this. With prospects, we love to do this. NBA comp is Victor Wembanyama, this number one draft pick in the draft.
I started to mention him. Yes. A unicorn.
Woj in the NBA said that he's literally the best prospect in the history of sports. So I threw this out on Twitter a few weeks back. I'm like, he has more holes in his game than Elly De La Cruz does. So yeah, we are gonna overhype this guy, but I think the odds of him, like his floor is so freaking high. And I used to think that wasn't the case. I used to think he was incredibly high ceiling, fairly low floor, high degree of variance guy. Yeah. And I'm not there anymore. After watching those tools, watching that bat speed, watching his patience and his poise and his first.
Oh my God, the bat speed!
I don't think there's anything he can't do. And good Lord willing, the creek don't dry. This guy has potential to be the greatest Red we've ever seen. Potential. I'm not saying he is, but he's got the tools. What guy?
I love
has
it.
better? What guy has better tools than this guy?
No one I've seen in my lifetime. Tim?
Yeah, I totally agree. But like, this goes back to like, yeah, we are like saying these comments. We know how this crazy they sound when they come out of our mouth. We say them into these microphones, but also like, damn it, we deserve this happiness for tonight. Okay, like we
Yes.
1,000,000% deserve this after 100-loss season last year. This was like on my show, last week. I was like, look, go for it, go for it, go for it, go for it. I don't care. Like, you've got all these guys coming up. You have the talent. The Central is there for the taking. Go for it. And like, this is why these moments right here, guys like him, Joe said it earlier, Christian Carlos Strand is like the final piece of the Thanos gauntlet, right? He's like the last like gemstone. Like, he's the last Infinity Stone of these prospects, because Andrew Abbott's up, Hunter Green's up. You know, what about with Nick Lodolo and what if Nick Lodolo gets healthy again? What if Graham Ashcraft figures out this little slump he's in? How much does that raise the ceiling? Guys, how about the bullpen tonight? Oh my God, we're not talking about them enough.
Speaking of who we aren't talking about enough, we haven't mentioned Hunter Green once tonight.
Yeah.
And he's
a Riverfront record.
He's the most polished of all these young guys.
Again, and I'll kick it to you, Joe, in just a second here, but I put together a little outline for tonight's show that we've completely ignored because we're just it's dreamy. Walk-off win by the Reds.
Vibing.
I keep
A
looking at
6-run comeback against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down
Like,
8-3, walk-off win. It's just a fun night, and there's so much we could say about Elly De La Cruz.
and the Cardinals
But,
lost again.
Oh my goodness, it's just amazing. But I guess the thing the Hunter Green mentioned to me was I started in the outline. The reason I mentioned that is I said, well, it's going to be a prospect episode. We're going to talk about Elly. Andrew Abbott was great last night. You know, Matt McClain just continues to be amazing. He got the big hit tonight. And so I put that together, and then I thought
You
I was
also
done with
said
the
that when they were
outline.
down 8-4. So
That's true. That's true. That's true. But I stopped editing that thing at a moment that I said, well, that's enough to talk about. And then I thought, how did I literally not even write Hunter Green's name in this outline? I mean, it's Hunter Green. He's like the guy they've already signed, the centerpiece to this thing. So, yeah, there are questions about Graham Ashcraft and Nick Lodolo. Obviously, there are questions about all these guys. I think the one thing I'll say is, and before I kick it to you, Joe, is with respect to Elly, I think I agree, and I'm going to probably be made to look stupid by this comment, but I think literally the only thing that keeps him from first of all, I love me some Tyler Stevenson. So James Urban,
great night,
big night by Tyler Stevenson. If you're not following us live, or if you're listening to this later, man, we're having a good time. Thanks for the comments, but
no alcohol on camera. We're just happy.
Well,
I said on camera, Nate.
There we go. But the only I think I agree. We've talked a lot about his floor, that Elly De La Cruz is ceiling his way up here, but his floor, we don't know where it is. And I really hesitate to say this because I've gotten burned on this crap before. But I think the only thing that
Stop. Don't finish.
I'm not going to say. I shouldn't say. You know where I'm going.
Stop.
COVID.
Stop.
No.
Only COVID
Is
gets out there.
Is injury.
Only Thanos. And Thanos. That's the only way.
Injury and Thanos. And I know Hunter Green yelled at me on Twitter one time about this, but
oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I don't want to speak it into existence, but I mean, when I've seen how he's made the adjustments in the minors, every time he needed to make an adjustment, it makes me think, all right, at his age, he's able to do that. He's the real deal. And he's going to have some struggles in the big leagues, but I'm a true believer. Joe, again, I don't know. I've said a bunch of crazy things. Go ahead and say whatever you want. You've not talked in a while. I need to hear your lovely voice.
That you are the first time in history to say you need to hear my voice. Hunter Green is still 23 years old for another 2 months. That's bad crap crazy. They showed his last 18 starts. I think he's pitched like 36 games. Yeah. First 18 versus last 18. And last 18 starts, he's been he's number 2. There you go. Keep going. Like his last 18, like he's looking like a number 2 starter. Obviously, he's got the high upside to be a number 1, but I mean, Hunter Green is that guy that we were hoping that he was going to be.
Yes.
And yeah, I was like Nate said, like there was still a huge variance of what we thought De La Cruz could be versus, where he will be. I mean, he obviously has as high of a ceiling as anybody. The only reason that he wasn't the number 1 prospect in everybody's list was because of his floor is lower. Until he turns out that he's Joseph Daniel Votto, the Dominican version of, well, I'm just going to decide to do this. So I'm going to decide I'm just going to start taking walks and working counts. So he's just going to start taking walks and work counts and be a high on base guy and cut a strike.
Reminds me that
management.
That time Larry reminds me of that time Larry Bird just decided to shoot left-handed for an entire half.
Yeah.
It's like, like Elly De La Cruz can just decide to do things now.
Yeah.
So-
right now I don't want to say only weakness, but the area of concern is his contact percent versus lefties. So from the right side, it's like 53%. Like it's pretty low. Well,
Only.
You have to throw out stats that literally nobody understands to find.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically he struggles to make contact versus lefties, but that's I guarantee that's mostly due to just lack of a lot of plate appearances because there's aren't as many lefties. Oh, good Lord. No. That's no. Nick Kroll is a man. He's not the man.
Let me say this to go back to Nate's point. The point I think when I turned the corner on Elly De La Cruz to when I was like, he's amazing, but I'm not ready to really truly 100% buy in. Was he made there was this moment where he was getting criticized. This happened actually 2 straight years. He was getting criticized for not taking enough walks, and his quote was, "Well, I just decided to stop swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone."
It's that easy.
How do you do that? I mean, this game is hard, and he just is, and it's not just him saying something; it's the actual truth. He literally, on a dime, decided, "Well, I'm going to make him pitch to me," and so it's just, it's amazing. Dwight Kelly has a question. I hopped in a little late. First of all, where were you? You guys cover that strike zone yet? That ump was awful. Yes, we covered that, and.
Where would you guys, if you guys had the power rank right now, just off the top of your head, just off the cuff, where does that rank in David Bell ejection moments? Because that was elite. That was incredible. Yeah. Like when he's like doing the whole hand gesture and you know what he's saying because he didn't say fudge is the reference we're saying here.
I can't wait I didn't see it happen because I was at the game, but I can't wait. I guarantee they'll break it down on John Boy. They do an awesome job of lip reading, so I can't wait to watch that because he gets his money's worth.
Yeah, and he got his money's worth.
My first thought was this guy is as energized about the Elly De La Cruz era as we are because he was. I mean, we've seen him get ejected a billion times, but there was something different about tonight. I mean, this guy was into it, and I don't know. He was
teaching Elly some big league F-bombs, and I think that's important. You got to learn how to curse at the big league level. He didn't get a lot of time in Louisville either, so he barely got any big AAA cursing experience. I thought the ump might have thrown him out because he keeps playing Kevin Newman.
That's
sorry. Prospects only.
It's fair.
So
completely fair.
I got to mention real quick, the Reds changed their bio on their Twitter account to say Elly De La Cruz fan account. So they're one of us. # one of us. And I had to make sure I mentioned this name to Chad because I need to see Chad's reaction to a guy who wore number 30 tonight, almost tied the game up on a 2-run homer, had a huge hit. I think you know him as Will Benson.
That was Norris Hopper.
Travis Wood.
I've taken some crap over Will Benson this season. I got out over my skis, and I told everybody in spring training and early in the season that I was so excited about the guy. And then he laid an egg in his first. He was on the opening day roster, and he was not good. But I was like, okay, you guys can get me now, but Will Benson's not done. And he went to the AAA, and he was awful at first. I thought that ball tonight, it was a loud out.
Yeah.
But I thought he had a home run.
I did too.
And the dude gets on base. The dude is all right. Let me ask you this question. You tell me Jason Hayward was playing for the Dodgers tonight. It's his 28th season in the big leagues. You tell me how Will Benson is not as good as Jason. He is Jason Hayward. And that's a productive big leaguer.
That's a good comment.
That's a pretty fair comp.
I think that's his 75th percentile like landing spot is Jason Hayward's career. Same size.
Well,
this
is a question that I threw out on Twitter and got a decent response. It's like, if Will Benson is a guy, if he's a guy
that I think he is, yes.
Then what does that do to all these projected lineups that Reds fans have been throwing out every day? Because not a single one has mentioned Will Benson in a starting role.
Yeah.
If he replaces the Jake Fraley or the TJ Friedel, heaven forbid, then this team gets, replace those Newman, Ramos, Casali at bats with
my man Stuart Fairchild,
Benson's and Encarnacion Strands and Votto's and Joey Votto's.
Please, yes. Let's not forget Joseph Daniel.
We might not need starting pitching because they can just put up 18 runs a game.
Bro, it's going to be the real life version of that old video game MLB Slugfest. That's going to be the Reds, just straight bombs.
We saw that for the middle part of the early 2000s. It didn't end so well when your ace was Eric
Milton.
He was nobody's ace. But yeah, Aaron Harang and Bronson Arroyo. Those were entertaining teams, but those, no, we still want some starting pitching.
Hey, you know what's pretty cool?
So long, Pat Magooch, by the way. Pat Magooch
Sunday,
has to
Pat.
go. Yeah.
Ask Ma where the meatloaf is. Ask Ma where the meatloaf is.
Mom! Sorry. Anyway, that's a Wedding Crashers reference. Go ahead, Nate.
What's pretty cool is that 1 week ago, all Reds Twitter cared about for a day or two was getting Spencer Steer at the top of the Rookie of the Year odds. Spencer Steer, a guy we've barely talked about, also a rookie, also a highly productive hitter.
Playing great.
Rookie of the month in May.
Yeah. Matt McClain was National League Player of the Week his second week in the big leagues.
Yeah.
These guys play for our team.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
When was the last time the Reds had this collection of young talent, this many good young players at the same time?
Mid-'80s.
So, granted, we have no idea. All the caveats, right? All of them could flame out. That's how baseball works. The baseball history books are chock full of people that just did not pan out. But when was the last time a Reds team had this much high upside talent?
I honestly think mid-'80s with Davis was the Jonathan India, the guy that was here a little bit early. Then you had Larkin.
Cal Daniels?
Yeah, exactly. Cal Daniels. That dude could hit, man. Even Treadway was a dude coming up. These guys that didn't, Stillwell and Treadway didn't amount to a ton, and they were traded away. But Paul O'Neill. I don't think they had any pitchers, but that was I think the last time there's this much. Maybe 2010-ish when you had Votto and Bruce and Cueto and Bailey.
Well, you speak about that group, Joe, is those guys, it wasn't like they all kind of came up at once, right? It was like 08 was Jay and Johnny.
Yeah.
Joey was 07.
Yeah.
They traded for Brandon 06.
Yeah.
Drew comes up in 09. And then Chapman comes up in 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't like now where it's like in the span of 14 months.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In 14 months, you've seen Hunter, Grant, Lodolo.
Half your roster's turned over to
Alexis freaking Diaz. Yeah.
Lord, that guy's 2 months.
Another guy we haven't talked about.
Yeah. And this is the thing for me when we talk about they may not be good, but man, all these guys you're talking about, these guys are taking plate appearances from the Matt Reynolds types. We still have Kevin Newman getting some, but
they're not taking any plate appearances away from Kevin Newman.
Right. There's no one will ever. Kevin Newman is the Kyle Farmer of the current team.
Kyle Farmer of Skip Schumacher.
Yes, absolutely. So here, but my thing is this. Okay, so we talk about Will Benson and oh boy, if he pans out, but there's some this lineup. You can squint a little bit and see. Oh my goodness, this could be amazing. I haven't given up on Nick Senzel, who's on the IL now, but if Nick Senzel is your a bench guy who can play six different positions, I don't know. That's not bad. But we've talked all year about how this pitching rotation is, I don't know. And we have the big three, and they've been up and down like you expect young pitchers to be. But we're 4 and 5. What are we going to do 4 and 5? And Luke Weaver is okay for this year, whatever. But he's not. He ain't it.
No.
And some of the other guys we've seen, but Brandon Williamson. Can Brandon Williamson be a fit number 5 starter? Yeah, maybe. Andrew Abbott as your number 4 starter. Now, again, this is requiring Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, Abbott, Williamson, all to pan out, and all prospects don't pan out. But if they did, that's
you've got five young arms,
young guys, right?
All with talent, all battling each other for that 1 through 5 spot. 5 guys that all think they can be that guy, and not these Luke Weavers, Ben Lively's. All the respect in the world of those guys, fan of both of them, but they are exceeding expectations. Even Luke Weaver and his 6.3 ERA, better than I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, they're pitching their butts off.
This is not the same thing.
But this kind of goes back to what I was saying. Kudos to Ben Lively. The dude has been great. I've loved it and love his story. But I like watching a team where it's a guy like Brandon Williamson, who I have a little bit of hope about. I'd rather see that guy pitch. Kind of like we talk about Kevin Newman. I want to see a guy other than and a Matt Reynolds. I'd rather see some guy that we got some hope about. I'd rather see Will Benson, and maybe he fails. But that's why this team is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns. And so it's fun to kind of see where they're going. Am I crazy, or is this the most fun Reds team in 10 years?
Both.
We did an off-season episode where we were talking about what would have to break correctly for the Reds to contend for a playoff spot for Walker, or just to even be moderately good. And we came down on the offensive side to them having 7 guys. It seems like having about 7 guys with an OPS plus over 100 to even have a chance at contending for a wild card spot. Well, the Reds have 5 right now, 5 regular players with an OPS plus over 100, and that's without a Christian Encarnacion Strand. That's without a Joey Votto. And that's without a guy like Tyler Stevenson doing anything.
Yeah.
So on the offensive side of the ball, the Reds are like middle of the pack to better in scoring runs, and the very, very bottom of the league in hitting home runs. Like there is a lot of ground to be gained there.
Fun.
So if this pitching staff, if they can find 5 major league pitchers to run out this rotation, the bullpen's been nails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love get them on, get them over, get them in.
Yeah, man, it's been so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need home run hitters to be more consistent, because guys are going to hit.
Especially in that
guys are
park.
going to get into slumps. They need someone, and basically they need one of the young guys in De La Cruz or Encarnacion Strand, because Steer's going to be a 25 home run guy. India's a 20 home run guy. Fraley 20 home run guy. Now, these guys, they'll provide pop, but you need that hammer in the middle of your lineup. I think De La Cruz and Strand will be that guy sooner than later, but as much fun as being aggressive on the bases, station to station, first to third, second to home, that's not sustainable. This isn't the mid 80s Whitey Herzog Cardinals when Tommy Herr had 101 RBIs with or 110 RBIs, whatever it was, a ton of RBIs with 9 home runs or something crazy. But there's.
I'm sorry. I got to say this. Screw Whitey Herzog. How dare you mention him on my show, first of all?
Because I don't like the guy, but that was that team's identity.
It was, but I was there in 1988 when he was the manager of the National League All-Star team.
You mean when he left all the Reds on the bench?
And Chris Sabo was a rookie that made the All-Star team, and he let Bobby Bonilla play the entire game at third base. The whole All-Star game. Yeah. He let Chris Sabo pinch run. So screw the Cardinals, screw Whitey Herzog, screw Tommy Herr, screw Willie McGee, screw Jack Clark, screw all of them.
What about Terry Pendleton? He played for the Reds.
He was an
Vince
MVP
Coleman. Halfway.
There you go. Former Red Vince Coleman.
Firecracker Vince.
I got a question for you guys. Trade deadline. Reds are somewhere within that 3 to 5 games out range or better. Cincinnati Reds, buyers or sellers?
Buyers.
Neither.
Both. I mean, Will Myers will be shipped out for
That's
a
the one
lottery
trade
ticket.
you can probably make. Yeah.
Kevin Newman. They're going to need him. Kevin Newman's going to have to go. He's not.
Yeah, but who's going to give up anything for Kevin Newman?
You'll get a lottery ticket. I mean, they got a lottery ticket for Brandon Drury. That's was it Victor Acott? Like the guy.
Yeah.
He turned out to be like he's got a hell of a lot of promise. But
Brandon Drury was an all-star.
Brandon Drury was playing well.
Well, but
and is currently playing well.
But Brandon Drury is also Brandon Drury. He has Brandon Drury's baseball card numbers behind him, which maybe are a little bit better than Kevin Newman.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys will go, and yeah, I honestly think that there's a chance that they will trade some of the surplus. I'm not expecting it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were to look to deal Noelvi Marte, or maybe
Evan Arroyo.
Tristan Arroyo. I don't think Cam Collier, but I mean that's why you accumulate these guys. They're not going to have spots for all these Guys. So
bring Cam Collier up. 18 years old. Love it.
I think he needs a little more seasoning. He's hitting 200.
I think I'll trade him. I think he's a great prospect. And go look up Cam Collier. We don't talk about prospects much here on the riverfront, but so go look him up. He's incredible. The guy's going to be good. And I wish that I hadn't made a joke about him being a bust on Twitter that he liked. He liked the tweet. That wasn't a good time. I deleted that tweet. But the guy's he's potentially going to be great. But he's like 14 years old. At some point, those are the guys you trade to fill in the gaps on the big league roster. And maybe we're closer to the point where you have to start filling in those gaps than I thought we were.
You get an outfielder. Like if you can trade from your depth to get an outfielder.
Oh yeah.
And then God forbid open up the purse strings in the offseason and bring in a non Luke Weaver, non Mike Minor starting pitcher, a guy who's actually
Marcus Stroman.
What's that?
Marcus Stroman.
I was thinking Shohei Ohtani.
Oh yeah, silly me.
Let's throw out a hypothetical where Spencer Steer's your left fielder, TJ Friedl's center field, and some form of Will Benson, Jake Fraley are filling up right field. Starting pitching is the only giant gaping hole that you have. How far do you go down the prospect pipeline to fill those gaps? Are you willing to move a Noelvi Marte, who is crushing? Was it the player of the month or something down there?
He's putting up similar numbers in AA that Elly put up in AAA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I'm huge on Marte. I think that I think he's gonna be really good. But Nick Kroll has, if anything, if only this one thing, has shown that he can get a good return. Now, he has not shown that he can get major league players in return. So that's something that I'm interested in hopefully figuring out.
I don't think the big guy is too necessarily nervous about that, though. I mean, if you think about the prospects they traded for Matt Latos, was like, at the time, we were like, oh my God, they're trading Yonder Alonso and Brad Boxberger and Yasmani Grandal. Like, what are they doing? And like, Matt Latos, second half of 2012 through like early 2014 was pretty awesome. Not as a person. Yeah. Not as a person.
No,
but like
a Twitter follow.
Flaming bag of something.
Yeah. But like, I don't think the big guys necessarily going to care about trading. Like, if you can go get a guy, like, I think a really good gift for the Reds could potentially be like a Kyle Freeland from Colorado, right? Because he pitches really well in that ballpark and the Rockies are awful. So I think he's a guy you could put in that potential rotation to be like the back end. Sonny Gray, like Zachary's saying, like, I'm all for Sonny Gray coming back to Cincinnati. I don't care what it is. I just want him back.
Yeah, please. No, my whole thing has been my consistent since 2007 when I first recorded a podcast here, is that for minor leaguers, I don't care except in terms of what they can deliver for the big league team. And so Noelvi Marte, I'm a big believer. I mean, I think the guy's legit.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done the big leagues yet. And so if you can get somebody that I know will contribute in the big leagues, if you can get a good starter, if you can get whoever, I don't know. I'm always okay with trading everyone except for the greatest player in the history of the world, Will Benson. Trade everyone else should be available. I don't want them to trade Noelvi Marte. I think he could be a big part of the next kind of phase here, but I don't have any issues with trading Noelvi Marte or trading Cam Collier or Edwin Arroyo or Connor Phillips, as Dwight Kelly mentions, who is he's right. He's a great looking pitching prospect. But I don't have any problem with trading any of those guys because the whole idea, although the Reds have not really shown that this is sort of takes primacy for them. The whole thing is big league wins. Yeah. So put together, you bring it. You cannot build a team just on prospects. At some point, you got to fill in the gaps where those prospects haven't panned out, and they have a little bit of capital, some assets they can trade. And so it's not that I want these guys to be traded, but I don't have a problem with the Reds trading any of those. And at this point, this is going to turn into a Nick Kroll fan podcast because he's my favorite general manager in at least the last 2 years of Cincinnati Reds baseball.
Well, I think that's really funny.
No, it's not. No, it's really not. No,
but you bring up this point of like use your stock, use your inventory to improve the big league club. Let's go further than the team in the other dugout from them right now. I mean, this is what the Dodgers do. They draft well, they develop well, and when they need to get guys, they move those guys to get players. Like, look what they traded for Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and Mookie Betts isn't the Mookie Betts of like 3 or 4 years ago, but I think 29 other teams would love to have him in their outfield or at shortstop occasionally somehow, and he's really good at that too. Yeah. But my point is,
also look what the Dodgers spent this offseason. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm not. It's not apples to apples here, but I love that point. I was going to make it myself. It's exactly it. You fill in the gaps with talent. You spend money to supplement your development, and you compete year after year.
Well, and I hate to do this, but I've got to say this, and then I'll let you all take it. But this is the issue where I'm hesitant because the Castellini era Reds have never taken that next step to actually spend money. Not that they've never spent money, but they've never taken the step to spend the money to fill in those gaps when you're close. And I hope it's a new era. I hope, but I don't think they've ever really taken the steps to really, truly make them a competitive team.
1 year that I can throw out that I think they did was when they got, wow, holy crap, Chew. Like, they needed more on base. They needed an outfielder who got on base. Stubbs wasn't doing it, and they got Shin-Soo Choo, and that's that was
2013.
That was the final piece, but I mean that was a time where they had guys elsewhere, and they needed that extra outfielder. And the season didn't end the way we expected to, but that was 10 years ago.
God, remember when they signed Ryan Ludwig and we were like, holy crap, they got a power bat?
Hi, Sydney.
Good friend, Sydney.
Sydney, everyone's friend. Sydney is with us.
Sydney was at the game tonight. It was time to hang out with us.
At the game. Sydney almost got a home run ball. It was fun to watch.
Is that right?
She was got that Freddie Freeman grand salami.
Throw it back. Throw it back.
That guy's so good. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? You have to commit to the plan. I keep hearing that there is a plan. I keep hearing from other Reds podcasts that we have been told that 2024 is the year they're going to try to contend. I haven't heard that. I haven't read it. I don't know where that news is coming from. I hope it's true.
See what David Bell said today.
I don't listen to David Bell said. It usually starts with an F and is 4 letters long.
Yeah, well, there's that. Let me pull up what good friend Charlie Goldsmith tweeted today because I have
David Bell doesn't make the decisions that at least appease my level of fanhood. I need
true, but I like what he said though because I'm a sucker for.
What did he say? What did he say?
He said that it's obvious we're going for it, but we're also doing what's best for these players. Yeah. Paraphrasing.
Okay, well, here's my response to that. What's obvious about them going for it? Luke Weaver and his 6.3 ERA. I'm obvious that's not going for it. I'm actually I'm higher on Luke Weaver than most. I think that he is perfectly serviceable.
What I'm trying to figure about Luke Weaver is he's worn the same Jordan 1 cleats every start, and they're not dirty. What is going on there? How is this possible?
Goodwill player always knows how to get his uniform dirty. But I guess that's my question. How do we, as James Urban just said, how do we trust this team to fill in the gaps? If they came out and said, hey, we don't expect to contend this year, so we're going to just see what we have, I'm willing to believe it. I would just love for them to say something. I would have loved to have seen Elly up last weekend. I would love to see Christian Encarnacion Strand up right now, because I think that here, this Zachary McGee says right here, we all thought
I agree.
it was going to be 2024 going into 2025. Well, the NL Central is terrible. The window opens sooner. I think it's up to Nick Kroll and the Castellanis to maximize it.
Well, this isn't like they don't need to mortgage the future. This isn't like they need to go
Right.
out and I mean, the future is here. You trade guys that are superfluous. I mean, again, Noelvi Marte looks like he's going to make himself to be a solid major league player. They don't need him. Like, he's going to play what? He's going to be a third baseman. So is Elly. So is Spencer Steer. So is Encarnacion Strand. So is Senzel.
Jonathan India.
Yeah. I mean, Arroyo, another middle infielder. Yeah, these guys can be moved, but or you can trade these guys, that have, a certain value before the need. Like you can go again, not all in. Like I don't even know what all in is for this team, but now's the time to strike. I mean, you can put yourself in a position to contend today and for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Green around. I mean, he's the only guy who's got a guaranteed contract, guaranteed any money to be on the roster after this season. Again, I want to see them start extending more players, but I mean, if they make 2 deals, this one is open 2023 to 2030.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, number one, this is something we've said a million times. You should never, ever, ever, ever trust this ownership and this management. They've given us no reason to trust them. Now, but that does not mean that you shouldn't be optimistic, that you shouldn't, hope for the best, I guess. But because this team really, truly is in a point where if they make the right decisions, and again, they've never made the right decisions. I hope they do. And they may, because we've seen some encouraging signs in recent years, in recent months, really. But so I'm not saying they won't or they can't, but they never have. But if they hope is not a strategy, Sydney. If you're not watching us live here, you're missing the comments. Why aren't you joining us?
Sydney, don't egg him on. Don't give him any credence.
Yes, thank you, Sydney. I know you're on my team. But what I'm saying is, a well-run organization. We talked about the Dodgers earlier. A well-run organization could take this team as they are right now. If you put the Tampa Bay Rays leadership in charge of the Reds right now, or the Dodgers, they're at a point where they absolutely could turn this into something special.
Yeah.
And whether I mean something special in terms of like Big Red Machine, I know, or just something special in terms of those of us that have suffered for 30 years, and almost anything could be special to us at this point. I don't know what that is, but there really is. There's a moment here. There's a moment in time where this team could turn the corner, and maybe I'm just being overly optimistic. I got my rose-colored glasses on, but I want to believe that it could happen, and I hope that it happens.
Yeah,
we just watched the biggest Reds prospect in maybe ever debut and perform. This team is not out of any division race or a wild card race at this point in the season, which we thought there were plenty. We didn't think that, but plenty of people thought this could be a 100-loss team.
No, we to be clear, we always said that was probably not.
I bet the over before the season started.
Literally bet.
I said 90 losses, 72 and 90.
Yeah, all 4 of us were.
We did not want Chad to have to get a tattoo. All I'm saying is, not that one. All I'm saying is, David Bell, don't tell me that you're positive we're going for it until the 26 best players are on the big league club and the 9 best players on a given night are starting. Because I have not seen that.
Kevin Newman alert.
That's the last piece of the puzzle for me is even if the front office isn't going to go out and get those guys, if ownership doesn't want to spend, that's okay. We can't control that. Yeah. We can't get mad about that. That just is what it is. But I would love to see the people that do have control over the day-to-day making the best decisions. I would love to see Kevin Newman being the utility man that he should be. I would love to see Christian Encarnacion Strand in the big league lineup. I would love to see, this is not somebody else's decision, it's his and his alone, Joseph Daniel Votto at somewhere between 2 and 5 and carrying this lineup to a wild card chase in September, because a wild card chase in September is more fun than I've had more than like 4 seasons of my entire life. Let's go.
I'm also still throwing out there, I know everyone disagrees with me, I want the Missile back in this bullpen. I think it'd just be so fun for this final run.
He's needed. I don't know what it'll take to get him, but he's needed.
I can't imagine it would take much because the Royals are already shopping him.
There was an article.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. But Joe, pause for a second. Who are you talking about? Just for those that are listening, who do you mean by the Missile?
Wasn't that Kadri Ismail? Wasn't that Rocket Ismail's younger brother?
Rocket Ismail. Say it, Tim.
I want to roll to Chapman back. I think
we
don't know what we're going to get from River San Martin, 1, health-wise, and 2, as a pitcher.
And we need a lefty.
We've seen what he's doing. We've seen what he's doing in Kansas City, who has a smaller ballpark than ours. Well, close in size, I should say.
Yeah.
And he's getting lefties out.
Joe, I interrupted you. Go ahead and
you're fine.
From there.
There's an article that I read about Chapman that they're looking to pair him. They're trying to. I mean, obviously, everyone's trying to do this. How much of it's real, but that they're wanting to maximize their return and pair him with like another reliever or another starter, so they get more back, or that they clear more, clear salary with the deal. I honestly, he's only making what, 3.5. He's not making a ton of money.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll take much to get him, whether they want him back or not.
Will Myers for Oldest Chapman. Let's do it.
There you go. Like Kylo said, like, I hope they have a plan. The Reds have a plan. The problem is, it has never been the Reds don't have the plan. The problem is, will the Reds see the plan to fruition? Again, we all are pretty sure that Bob doesn't have enough wits about him to screw up a plan, but somebody can. It's whether it's whether they have the patience to let this plan. Like, you decided to let the kids play. You decided to let to bring the kids up. They're bringing them one at a time, or whatever the plan is. Elly was only brought up because Senzel was injured, but Elly was coming up before, if not before Father's Day, before first day of summer. I mean, he was short list coming up. He's not going back down. Just see it through. Just whatever your plan is, stick with it, and don't make it to be the Rays plan, because the Rays plan is not replicable unless you go out and have like a dream headhunter that knows where to mine to find all of these brilliant minds to throw in the organization that work at player development, that work in the front office. I don't trust the Reds have those guys. Don't try to be the Rays. Try to be the Guardians. I mean, they draft, develop as well as anybody. Right. And if the Guardians spent any money at all, like they'd have a juggernaut. They do an awesome job at development and drafting. I mean, how many pitchers have they had that's come up and then they've traded? I mean, every year there's another stud starting pitcher in that rotation. Now they struggle with bats for 20 years, but that's who you want to strive for, not the Rays, because that's not you can't replicate that. They're the Dodgers without the Dodgers, without any money.
Well, I'm gonna throw out one more thing, and then I think I'm just about done for the night. We're over an hour and 5 minutes here at this point.
But we're having so
much fun.
What
I'm gonna say is, well, I'm having too much fun, and I have to go do the job that pays me tomorrow. It is June 6th. on a season that we all thought was lost from the get-go. Perhaps we didn't think this team was going to lose 100 games, but we certainly had no expectations of contending in any fashion going into the 2023 season. It is June 6th. The Cincinnati Reds are 5 games out in the NL Central. They are 4.5 games out of the wild card. In the last 3 weeks, they have brought up their 2 best offensive prospects. They have debuted their best performing pitching prospect and their most highly rated pitching prospect. Maybe highest 2 rated if you count the Levi Stout cup of coffee. Christian Encarnacion-Strand is knocking on the door. Jonathan India is playing better than he did in his Rookie of the Year season. And Joey Votto is going to be back any minute. This season has been exceeded expectations on such a level that it will blow your mind. And some exceedingly mediocre City Connect jerseys. I mean, awesome City Connect jerseys.
You watch your mouth, Dotson.
That's a dope hat, though. That's a dope hat, Tim.
Definitely. I want each of you to have your final thought here, but before I toss it to you, let me just say this. Nate's mentioned Joey Votto like 15 times tonight. And
hashtag don't forget.
We're talking about the kids, but I would give anything to see him come and join this crew and be that veteran guy and have another great season. But I guess my thought is this. My idea for tonight was we're going to talk about Elly. And we did. We're going to talk about Andrew Abbott. We did a little bit. Matt McClain, barely. Spencer Steer, barely. We didn't even mention TJ Hopkins, who made his big debut. Brandon Williamson, who's been better than any of us could have expected so far this season. How about these pitchers that are not rookies, but second-year guys? Alexis Diaz, Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft, Nicola Dolo. We talk about Will Benson.
Hunter Green.
Yeah,
just not talking about that. Sorry.
It's just here we go. Steve Offenbaker, this is it right here. As Reds fans, we love Steve from the Locked On Reds podcast. Go listen to them. Absolutely. Every single day. But, maybe it's because we've been beaten down by so many bad seasons. But I don't talk funny, Steve. But what a time to be alive. For real. I mean, this is why we've had so many times we've complained and we've whined and we've been negative because there's nothing else to do on this show. But I like the fact that there's a reason for optimism. And so I guess what I would encourage Reds fans going forward is enjoy it a little bit, have some optimism. Don't, we're the, sell a team, Bob, screw this or
that's
ownership
you guys, not me.
Group. but and I still, the Castellans are garbage, but you know what? I've decided to try to have fun when I can have fun. So anyway, that's sort of my final thing. Let's go around the table. We'll start with you, Joe. Final thoughts here before we get out of here.
Just make sure that the Louisville Bats are going to be okay. They won 6-5 today. Encarnacion-Strand 3 for 4, another home run. Votto 0 for 5. That's not concerning, but I hope he can get everything together. Just
kick him off the screen.
Right. I shouldn't have been here anyway. No, this is a fun team. Again, I don't expect them to win the wild card. I don't expect them to make the playoffs. They could tank and lose 90, have 95 loss season. It's going to be fun just watching these kids figure it out. Again, I think it's a great idea to bring them all up at the same time. Let them grow together as a group. Not a lot of these guys have spent a ton of time together. I mean, guys through trades, Elly rocketed through the system. These aren't guys that have a ton of time playing together outside of McClain and Elly. Letting them grow together as a group, I think, is a great way to kind of build more camaraderie. These guys are going to be around for a long time. This year, to me, and especially with Elly, to bring it around to my Bengals show, this is the 2020 Bengals. The Reds just brought up Joe Burrow. Still have a lot of holes, still have a lot of things to fix around them, but you're seeing the pieces that are going to make, and hey, maybe they're going to win the World Series next year or go to the World Series. But you're seeing the pieces come together of, yeah, there was crap, but coming out of the crap, there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, your final thoughts.
Look, we've been kind of talking about it the whole time, but if you think when you look in that dugout, this team doesn't think, these guys on the field, not what ownership says, not what the GM says, these guys on the field don't think they can make a run at the Central, don't worry about it, because I think these guys really believe they can make a run.
Yeah.
And this is super fun. So, like, look, if this team is like 77-85 and wins the Central, I don't care. That's 2 home games at GABP. I'm going to enjoy everything I possibly can. I'm never going to take a good Reds team for granted ever again. And the Riverfront's the best Reds podcast in the world out there. And you should join us each and every week for both of our shows. And Joe's show's really good too.
Absolutely. Nate, thank you for that, Tim. Nate.
All right, a few things. One, Stephen Offenbaker, the homie from Locked On Reds. So glad that you got to be in attendance for this game.
Oh, yeah.
My guy lives in Hawaii.
Aloha,
Chose this as
Steven.
his trip to Cincinnati to watch the Reds play and got to see Elly's debut. That's awesome. So that's the first thing I want to say. Second thing is, a lot of people say that Tim Daniel looks like Steve's co-host, Jeff Clark. I think
It's
that
been
Tim
said in a
Daniel
while. I haven't
is
thought about that.
the much better looking version of Jeff Carr. So I want to throw that out there. Riverfront got the better looking of the two.
My wife
3,
agrees.
guys, this is fun. As we all know, being a Reds fan is not often fun. And we've had a full season of fun baseball. It's only getting more fun by the prospect. Just enjoy it. I mean, challenge to the Castellinis in the front office. Let's try to go for it. Let's try to maximize this roster. But to the fans, enjoy the highs, enjoy the lows, because when you're basing your expectations on a team full of young guys, there's going to be a lot of lows. There's going to be some cold streaks. But let's just keep it going. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You know, I guess the way I would end this is that you can be realistic about this team. You can be upset about ownership and the way they've really screwed things up over the last, since 2006. So the last, 17 years, they've really screwed things up. But, and I've always tried to be honest about how to analyze this show or this team on the show. And you can do all that. But that doesn't mean you can't also be excited when there are fun times, because baseball is supposed to be fun. I watch baseball because I like baseball and I want to enjoy it. And I want to find reasons to be happy, to be excited. And so, yes, maybe we've gone overboard a little bit with the Elly De La Cruz stuff. Maybe we are, I don't know. Maybe we'll look back in 5 years and say, well, we were kind of out of our skis there. But I don't care, because, again, baseball's supposed to be fun. Tonight, June the 6th, 2023, was a fun night to be a fan of the Cincinnati Reds National League Baseball Club. And at this point in my life, I don't take that for granted, because there's been few of those over the last 3 decades. And so enjoy it, smile, laugh, have fun, and support this team. Cheer for them and watch them. They're going to be fun. They may not be good. I don't know. Maybe they are good. We'll find out in the next 3 months. But they're definitely going to be interesting. They're definitely going to be fun. And so, I don't know. It's been a good night. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thanks to, gosh, I'm just blown away by the fun we have with the Riverfront crew. Thanks to Tim Daniels from what's the name of your show? Oh, yeah, Late Night Reds here at the Riverfront. Thanks to Joe Farsing, the Riverfront Bengals show. Man, that show, if you're a Bengals fan, you're not listening to that. What's going on? It's a great time.
Last week's show was so good. It
really was. It gets better. Yes. Yeah. It gets better every week.
We got a lot better when we cut bait from the Flotsam and Jetsam of a certain individual.
We're not going to mention any names, but no, it's great. Nate Dotson, he and I, we have so much fun every week on the Riverfront show here. It's a fun time to be a fan of the Cincinnati Reds, the Cincinnati Bengals. We have to get a FC Cincinnati show going on because they're even better than both of them.
They've been historically great.
Right. Yes. So,
and they want to start an FC Cincinnati show. Shoot us a
Hit us
message.
up.
Team@riverfrontcincy.com.
Team@riverfrontcincy.com. Hey, shout out to Adam Dunn. Shouts to Lisa Alberto,
Big
Wayne
donkey.
Krenchicki. Shouts to Eli Cash, and shouts to the best number 44 in Cincinnati Reds history, Cody Reed. For Nate Dotson, for Tim Daniel, for Joe Farsing, this is Chad Dotson saying, so long, everyone.